Good afternoon, Your Honor. My name is Ethan Cruz, and I play Taylor Alexander.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. My name is Giselle Delida, and I play Alisana.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. My name is Kenji Esguerra, and I am Dr. A. Forrest.
Excellent, thank you.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. My name is Mahaya Burton, and I am your clerk.
Wonderful. Mahela?
Mahaya.
How do you spell it?
Mahea.
Thank you. All right, welcome. Are we ready to begin?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, I understand there's a pretrial motion. Why don't we start with that?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Once again, my name is Chase Cedro. I'll be doing the pre-trial motion. May it please the court?
Yes, thank you.
Your Honor, we respectfully request that you admit the statements made by Logan Gold during his conversation with Harper DeRay and Deputy Kim. Specifically, we refer to the statement in which Gold said, "I was trying to make sure the family inn could be passed down for generations." We make this request based on 3 fundamental points. First, the statement was not made during interrogation. Second, nothing Deputy Kim did was coercive. And 3, the situation they were in. Regarding our first point, the statement made in question was not during an interrogation. Deputy Riley Kim had informed Mr. Gold of his Miranda rights, and Mr. Gold invoked those rights during the initial interview. However, hours later, when Mr. Gold's spouse, Harper DeRay, arrived, Deputy Kim sat across from the couple. He wanted to make sure the couple felt at ease by emptying his pockets. He rested his hands on his hips, and he put his tape recorder on the table, but it was not on. He did not ask any questions, nor did he make any efforts to prompt further evidence.
When he emptied his pockets, what did he put that on the table?
He put everything out on the table.
What was that?
He laid out a tape recorder, and
So emptying his pockets means he put a tape recorder on the table.
yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and did he turn it on?
It was not fine use at all.
Why did he do that?
He wanted to make sure that when Harper DeRay arrived, that they would both feel at ease. So he wanted to seem more laid back, so he didn't seem as he's threatening them. So he wanted to make sure they could talk to each other about making sure that Harper DeRay knew what was happening in the situation.
Okay, thank you.
May I proceed?
Yes.
This interaction, it closely mirrors the holding in Arizona v. Morrow in 1987. In that case, the court allowed a conversation between a defendant and his wife. This was where an officer was present and recording the conversation, but it did not engage in any coercive tactics. The court ruled that the conversation was not an interrogation nor any functional equivalent, so it was therefore admissible. Turning to our second point, the statements made by Mr. Gold and Ms. DeRay were entirely voluntary. This principle is well supported by United States v. Kimbrough. In that case, the defendant was allowed to speak with his mother while law enforcement officers were present. This officer did not interfere in the conversation, nor did he employ any manipulative tactics. As a result, the court found that the officers could not have reasonably anticipated that the conversation would lead to the discovery of any incriminating evidence. Similarly, in the case at hand, Deputy Kim did not pressure Mr. Gold or Mr. Ray to speak. His only action was to advise Mr. Gold to update his spouse on the situation, which did not in any way coerce the couple into providing information. Much like
So the case that you're citing referred to manipulative tactics. I suppose there's an argument, maybe we'll hear this, there's an argument that it was a manipulative tactic to put the tape recorder on the table, to put the hand on the gun, and to say, go ahead and say everything that you need to say. Isn't that, in that context, isn't that manipulative?
Well, Your Honor, in this situation, if he did not, once you argue that him putting his hands on his hips and him just standing there would be a resting position, and it would be similar to just trying to make sure that they are not being threatened. I'm sure putting a tape recorder on the table, so that could seem threatening, but it seemed that he did not understand to let them know it was off. But yes, Your Honor.
Okay,
May I proceed?
yes?
Much like in Kimbrough, the couple could have chosen to remain silent, as they were aware of their Miranda rights, yet they voluntarily chose to continue their conversation. Their statements were made freely and without any undue influence. On to the third point, the situation does not render Mr. Gold's statements involuntary. In In Illinois v. Perkins, the Supreme Court held that undercover officers are not required to provide Miranda warnings before eliciting statements from suspects. In that case, a defendant revealed incriminating evidence to an undercover officer placed in a cell, and the court ruled that the officer's presence did not compel the defendant to speak. Here, the situation is even less intrusive. Deputy Kim was not undercover. Mr. Gold was fully aware of their, Deputy Kim was not undercover. Mr. Gold was fully aware of his presence, and he knew exactly who was in the room. Deputy Kim did not ask any questions or otherwise interfere during the duration of their conversation. Their conversation was audible to anyone present. The mere presence of law enforcement does not restrict their ability to hear a conversation, especially one that's conducted openly. Mr. Gold and Mr. Ray could have chosen to remain silent, but they willingly spoke despite knowing Deputy Kim was there. The cases cited demonstrate that the presence of law enforcement does not inherently transform a conversation into an interrogation, nor does it render it involuntary. Deputy Kim's conduct remained neutral and non-coercive throughout the whole thing. Mr. Gold and Mr. Ray were aware of their rights and chose to speak openly, making their statements entirely voluntary. So therefore, we respectfully request that the statements made by Logan Gold during his
Time.
conversation.
You can finish it, fine.
Therefore, we respectfully request that the statements made by Logan Gold during his conversation with Harper Ray and Deputy Kim be deemed admissible in this trial.
Thank you. You have a response from the defense?
Yes, can the defense pretrial motion proceed?
Yes, thank you. Please.
Your Honor, may it please the court?
Yeah.
My name is Ana Garcia, and I will be representing the client Logan Gold. I am respectfully requesting that the court suppress the statements made by my client during interrogation as his Miranda rights were violated. Specifically, the statement, "I was trying to make sure that the standard in could be passed down for generations," was not made voluntarily. Rather, it was a product of coercion and intimidation inflicted upon him by Deputy Kim and a law official, resulting in a clear violation of his constitutional rights as established in Miranda v. Arizona. In our case, my client, Logan Gold, specifically invoked his right to remain silent and requested that legal counsel be present before interrogation proceeded. However, after being left alone in the interrogation room, Deputy Kim returned, not with legal counsel, but with my client's spouse, Doré. Upon Doré's arrival, Deputy Kim spoke directly to Gold, stating, "You better make sure Doré knows everything. You don't want to jeopardize her position by making them complicit in something." This statement was a clear attempt to coerce Gold into speaking, despite his prior request for legal representation. This conduct closely parallels the facts of Edward v. Arizona, 1981, where the Supreme Court held that once a suspect invokes their right to an attorney, questioning after invoking the right to counsel must cease. After invoking the right to counsel, that violated the suspect's Fifth Amendment rights, rendering entering statements involuntary. Similarly, Deputy Kim disregarded Gold's request for an attorney, thus violating my client's Fifth Amendment rights by continuing an interrogation without legal counsel. Any statement Gold made following this violation must be deemed inadmissible.
2 minutes remaining.
Regarding the pressure,
Let me ask a question. So is it your position that the encouragement to explain the situation to the spouse is the same as questioning?
yes, because it is using the spouse as a pawn to further get the suspect to speak to law officials.
Was Gold free to remain silent?
Gold was free to remain silent.
Okay.
Regarding the pressure Logan Gold experienced to speak in the presence of Deputy Kim's intimidation tactics constitutes a clear violation of my client's rights. Not only did Deputy Kim place a tape recorder in front of Gold without clarifying whether it was on, but they also forced my client to lay everything out while maintaining their hands on their gun holster. This act of intimidation and coercion directly pressured Gold into speaking. Such actions represent a blatant violation of my client's Miranda rights as supported by State v. Finehouse. In that case, the suspect repeatedly established his right to remain silent, yet the police continuously pleaded for him to tell the truth. The court ruled that the detective's tactics and words pressured the suspect to speak in violation of his Miranda rights. Similarly, Deputy Kim's intimidation and pressure disregarded Gold's rights. Thus, any statements he made under these conditions must be deemed inadmissible. In both cases, it has been consistently held that statements must be made freely, voluntarily, and without any form of compulsion. Logan Gold's experience was the opposite. Despite invoking his right to remain silent, he was repeatedly forced to speak. Deputy Kim's actions, including keeping a hand on their weapon holster and implying that Gold's silence could jeopardize his wife's future, created an atmosphere of intimidation and coercion, undermining any voluntary nature of the statement made.
Thank you. Do you get a rebuttal?
I believe I do that now. Done. I can try.
Mm-hmm.
When I do rebuttal, I just start, like what I have introduction into the rebuttal.
You don't need to introduce yourself again. You just say, thank you, Your Honor,
Okay.
and boom, go right at it.
Thank you, Your Honor. Well, if we look at the cases that if we look at the case of, what's it called? The case of Finehouse. You can see that in their case, you could see that the police officer would continually press the client or the defendant of speaking more information. But we can see that in our case, sure, we could that they could in a tense position where they're stressed because they're in an interrogation room. We could see that.
You're right, you're on it, stay with it.
You can see that. Sure, he may have been doing some things that could be seen as coercion or intimidating by maybe putting his hands on his hips and having a hand on a gun holster. But not once did he pressure, or not once did he repeat over and over again, like in that case, to spill more information and just keep pressing on about it. And then we can also see that in the statement beforehand, where he would say, you don't want to jeopardize Harper Ray's position. That could also be in the scenario where I'm not sure if I have okay, never mind, erase all that.
Thank you very much. Thank you both. You both presented that very well. And I'm going to grant the motion and allow the statement in. It's my finding that the actions of the officer were not interrogation and were not coercive, that Ms. Gold was free to remain silent and chose voluntarily to have a conversation with the spouse in the presence of the officer, and that therefore that was her free act waiving her rights to remain silent. So I'm going to allow the statement in. Are we ready to begin with opening statements?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Once again, my name is Reese Melinda. May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes, thank you.
This case displays self-interest and greed by the defendant, Logan Gold. To put it simply, Logan Gold is guilty of abducting Taylor Alexander on November 11th, 2023. In this trial, we will present the evidence and the motive that proves Gold's involvement in the abduction. A debate was set to take place on November 11th, 2023 at 12 p.m. Everyone was present except Taylor Alexander and Logan Gold. Alexander never showed up while Gold arrived 30 minutes late. That same morning, Alexander was abducted while preparing for a jog at around 5:30 a.m. As Alexander stepped out, Logan Gold ambushed them, covered their head with a pillowcase, and binded their wrists behind their back. The pillowcase used to blindfold Alexander contained the logo of Gold's Hotel, Gold Standard Inn, and the political slogan, Duray for Emerald Bend. Harper DeRay is the now new city council member and was previously Alexander's opponent, while Gold is DeRay's spouse and was previously their campaign manager. Gold forcibly dragged Alexander into a car trunk, where they remained trapped for what felt like an hour. When pulled out of the car, Gold led Alexander to a shed on 1335 Lakeside Drive, one of Alexander's rental properties. Inside, Alexander was restrained to a metal chair, drugged with doxylamine, and left disoriented and terrified. The chief forensic investigator, Dr. Ray Forrest, later identified the substance as doxylamine, a commonly used drug in cough syrup. While forcefully being fed the drug, the kidnapper said, "Everything comes back around," a catchphrase that is commonly used by Logan Gold. After managing to escape, Alexander called the police and Deputy Riley Kim arrived at the scene by 2:45 p.m. Evidence was preserved. A receipt under Gold's name was found, which indicated that Gold purchased Blue Road, a key piece of evidence in this case, a few days prior to the abduction. After much comparison, Dr. Forrest found that the tire tracks at the scene closely matched Gold's tires. A pebble was lodged in Gold's front passenger side tire, which matches an impression found at the scene. The photos taken showed that the width of the tire and the position of the pebble were the same in both the tire and the tire tracks. The events leading up to this abduction are deeply rooted in the city council election in Emerald Bend, a town where the issue of rental homes had become largely controversial. DeRay was running for office with a stance strongly against rental homes, while Alexander was a vocal advocate for them. Gold believed that the rise of rental homes would be detrimental to the town's integrity. In particular, Gold felt that the increasing popularity of vacation rentals would harm their business, the only hotel in Emerald Bend. The rise of short-term rental properties was perceived as a direct threat to the generational business. Contrary to that, Alexander believed that rental homes would benefit the economy of Emerald Bend. This new market would increase tourism, help boost local shops' profits, and expand upon the town's publicity. Gold's motive was crystal clear: greed. The financial loss that would come from the success of Alexander winning the election drove them to a point where they believed that kidnapping Alexander was the only way to protect their interests. The defendant, Logan Gold, has shown that they are willing to go to any lengths to protect their business and financial interests. The evidence clearly establishes that Gold's actions were driven by greed and self-preservation. The state urges that this court finds Logan Gold guilty as charged for abducting Taylor Alexander. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Would the defense like to make an opening statement at this time?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Just to reinstate, my name is Kate Malcolm and I represent Logan Gold. My client, Logan Gold, is not guilty of Taylor Alexander's abduction. There's someone who's been charged out of convenience and ties to Gold because of its politics. The evidence will show that no one saw Logan commit the crime. No one can identify them at the crime scene, and the evidence shows that Logan was falsely accused upon speculation and speculative proof, and that the timeline the prosecution provides is filled with holes. On November 11th, the day the debate between the spouses, Harper Doris and Taylor Alexander, Logan woke up anxious and did not want that energy to sabotage their spouse for the day. So at 8:30 a.m., they left the house to campaign for the upcoming election by putting flyers on the porches of the citizens around the lake. Before leaving, they wrote a note to Harper Davis letting them know that they had gone. Overwhelmed with their only spouse and the debate on their mind, they left their phone unable to check the time. Arriving at the lake around 9 a.m., they begin to pass out flyers across CJ. Costly, a friend of theirs, talking to them for a few minutes. After passing a few more flyers, Gold decided to drive to town hall to put flyers out there instead, driving down to the unpaved fire road to take a shortcut. Flyers threw out the window and Gold pulled over to pick them up. However, once Gold got back in the car, they realized that the car had broken down over time and had spent a lot of time trying to fix the issue. A frustrating but innocent delay causing them to be late for the debate. Arriving at the debate around 12:30, Gold reassures Doris that everything okay to ease their mind. The debate also not started yet because Alexander had not arrived, so they had to wait until 1, then decided to go back to Dorsey's campaign office. At 5:30 p.m., Deputy Kim came to the office explaining that Alexander's abduction and questioning all of them personally. Deputy Kim questioned Gold and their inn, that's why they were late, and drilled them continuously throughout the investigation. On November 16th, Deputy Kim accused Logan Gold of kidnapping Taylor Alexander and arresting them. As Deputy Kim interrogated Logan Gold, they had put their hand on their gun holster, trying to intimidate Gold into admitting something that they didn't do. Total tire, 350 tires were found at the crime scene at the same time Gold's, but these tires were widely common among citizens in Emerald Bend. The evidence will show that the tread path does not match Logan Gold's tires. The defense is asking for truth and fairness to be served. Evidence will show that Logan Gold was falsely accused and is the person who would never engage in a crime such as harmful as life-threatening or kidnapping. The evidence will put to show that they are in charge of this because of convenience and the ties that Gold has to politics. But there is no real hard evidence or proof about Gold's guilt, only baseless accusations. Logan Gold is not a criminal, but a good citizen of Emerald Bend, only one who wants the best for their town. For years, they have gone out of their way to help others and support their loved ones, making Emerald Bend a better place. The prosecution has painted a picture of a person who has supposedly had a motive and an opportunity for a crime, yet where's the evidence? Where can it be proved? There are countless individuals who could have been responsible for this kidnapping, but the prosecution has chosen to target Logan Gold. This case is not about political rivalries or the parties hold against each other, but the truth is Logan Gold is innocent. At the time of this trial, we ask you to find Logan Gold not guilty because the justice demands nothing else.
Thank you. Good job, thank you. Good job. We'll work on rewriting that. It's got a little bit of fine tuning that will help you. Thank you for stepping in. Okay, prosecution, would you like to call your first witness?
Yes, Your Honor. At this time, we would like to call Deputy Riley King to the stand.
Would you like to step right up here, please, to the witness stand?
And this is where Angel, and you tell the truth, the whole truth, la la la. Yes? Deputy, yes? Yes, yes.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes, thank you.
What is your name and occupation?
I am Miley Kim, and I am the sheriff of Emerald Bend.
And how long have you worked for Emerald Bend?
I have served as a sheriff deputy since 2018, and prior to that, I was a patrol officer for 4 years and a detective for 6 years.
How did you get involved with this case?
I received a call from Tyler Alexander on November 12, 2023, around 2:45. And during the phone call, they were claiming that they were kidnapped.
Did you respond to the scene?
Yes.
And what time did you arrive?
I arrived at the scene located at 1335 Lakeside Drive, 45 minutes later after the call, so about 3:15 p.m.
And where was Alexander when you arrived at the scene?
When I arrived at the scene, I saw Alexander on the porch of the house.
And how did they appear?
Alexander was wearing sweatpants and a shirt. They were both muddy, and both of his wrists was inflamed and red. They were both visibly stressed and panicked.
Did you conduct an investigation?
Yes.
And what did you find?
I found a pillowcase, 2 pieces of rope, and a set of tires found in the top of the driveway.
Can you explain to me the condition of the pillowcase?
The pillowcase had the words
2 pieces nearby a metal chair in the shed.
Was anyone arrested for this case?
Yes,
Who was arrested?
it was Logan Gold.
And what warranted you to arrest Logan Gold?
I obtained a search warrant for Gold's home on November 16th, and upon searching, I found a receipt under his name, a blue line document book, the same one at the time at the scene, as well as other building supplies that were purchased on November 5th, 2023. I photographed and analyzed Gold's tire tracks, and with the help of Dr. Reyes Flores, we analyzed that they were the same ones at the top of the driveway. With this, I believe I had a reasonable suspicion to arrest Logan Gold.
Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Any cross-examination?
Is she cross? Is Elaine cross?
Yes.
Do you see cross?
You want me to come in?
Shanoa, can you show her? Oh, you need my password.
I was trying to signal you earlier.
No, you stay here, please. The defense lawyers might have some questions for you. I'm sorry that I keep checking my phone, which is kind of obnoxious as a judge sitting in your trial, but there's a fire close to my house and my wife keeps texting me. So, I don't know, I think it's not that close, but,
Did the fire crash into Alice Springs?
I don't know about that. This
And
one,
then,
I
we're
live
gonna
in,
extinguish quickly.
I live in Pacific Beach, and apparently there's a fire nearby. I don't know.
I'm so sorry. If you want, you can take some time to go text you before.
No, okay, yeah, thank you. No. There's nothing I can do from here.
The election between Alexander and Doris was heated, correct?
The name, Kate, the name is Doré.
Oh, Doris.
Yeah, it looks like Doris, but it's Doré.
Dore is against vacational rentals, correct?
Yes.
Alexander is in favor of the vocational rentals, correct?
Yes, they believe that it could help the economy of their town, and it could have more money.
And this issue was a conflict for many citizens within Emerald Bend, right?
Yes, many wanted to keep their integral as a town, while many wanted to have better economy.
Oh, and Dore was the one who won the election, correct?
Yes.
The election was won by a close margin, right?
Yeah.
So a close margin would roughly be around half of the Emerald Bend voting for Doris, correct? I mean, Dora.
Yes.
Half voting against Alexander, correct? So it isn't true that no one outside of Doris' campaign members was investigated?
Yes.
Did you interview anyone else outside of the community?
I interviewed some few residents to ask them about Gold's appearance prior to the debate, since he was late.
Yet you didn't question anybody inside of Doris' campaign?
Any regret?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, may this witness be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, thank you, Deputy Kim. You may take your seat.
Your Honor.
Does the prosecution have any other witnesses?
Yes, Your Honor, my name is Sherry Marsala, and we'd like to call Taylor Alexander up to the stage.
Okay, thank you.
And you do. All right.
Your Honor, may I proceed?
Yes, thank you.
What is your name and occupation?
My name is Taylor Alexander, and I used to work as a political science professor, but I was laid off a few months before the debate. Now I use rental homes as my main source of income.
And what was your role in the election?
I was a politician, and I was in favor of allowing rental homes into Emerald Bend.
And what did you plan on doing if you won the election?
I would let citizens use their homes as rental homes.
And who did you run against during the election?
I ran against Harper Duray.
And who is Harper Duray?
They're my opponent in this election, and they're in favor of banning rental homes in Emerald Bend.
And when was the election supposed to occur?
November 14th, 2023.
And were there plans for a final debate before the final election?
Yes.
And when was that final debate scheduled?
November 11th.
And how did you feel about the upcoming debate?
I was very excited. I was ready to share my plans with the citizens of Emerald Bend and how, yeah, I was excited, yeah.
And did you participate in the debate?
I know.
Why didn't you participate?
I was abducted.
Can you walk me through that?
As I was going for my morning run at 5:30, someone put a pillowcase on my head.
And what happened after that?
They dragged me into the back of their car.
And what happened after that?
They drove me to a location, or they drove me for what felt like an hour, and yeah.
And can you tell me what happened next?
They took me out of their car, I fell, and they dragged me up a muddy hill.
And what happened after they dragged you up from Muddy Hill?
They put me into this room with a metal chair and tied up my arms and ankles, or my wrists and ankles.
And what happened after that?
They force-fed me a cough syrup-like substance, which made me pass out.
And what happened after? Did you wake up?
Well, I passed out, yes, and then I woke up a little while after.
And what happened after that?
They fed me the substance again, which made me pass out.
And then what happened next?
I woke up, and then I realized my wrists and ankles were untied. So I took the pillowcase off my head.
And what happened after you took the pillowcase off your head?
I exited the room, and I realized that I was in my own rental home location at 1335 Lakeside Drive, so I called the police.
So can you describe the individual who kidnapped you at all?
The only thing I can say is that they sounded as if they were forcing their voice.
And did the kidnappers say anything to you?
Yes.
What did the kidnappers say?
They said, everything comes back around.
Did that face seem familiar to you?
Yes.
Why is it familiar?
It's a phrase that Logan Gold says often in interviews and podcasts.
And who is Logan Gold?
Logan Gold is Harper Duray's spouse and also their manager for the election.
And do you see Logan Gold in this room?
Yes.
Can you point to him?
She's wearing a black blazer and gray pants.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
You might want to say, may the record reflect that the witness has identified Logan Gold.
Okay. So, may the record reflect that the witness has identified Logan Gold.
Yes, it will. Thank you. Any cross-examinations?
Yes.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So you ran for city council, correct?
That's correct.
And you were in favor of Emerald Bend citizens listing on vacation rentals, correct?
Yes.
So during the election, you were interviewed by multiple reporters, correct?
Yes.
And one of them was CJ Costley, correct?
Yep. Yes.
And you weren't familiar with them at the time.
No.
And he told you to listen to the most recent episode, correct?
Yes.
And the episode was the West Bethel case, correct?
That's correct.
And in the episode, the person faked their own kidnapping, correct?
Yes.
And you did listen to it.
did.
And in high school and college, the drama club was one of your hobbies, correct?
It was.
And you were very passionate about it, correct?
Yes.
And in fact, you were so passionate that you received the Best Actor award.
I did.
No further questions.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
May this witness be excused?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. And you may call your next witness.
Your Honor, I ask to bring Ali Sandoval to the stand.
Okay.
I do. You do.
Your Honor, may I proceed?
Yes.
Good afternoon. What is your name and occupation?
My name is Ali Sandoval, and I am a journalist for Emerald Band Daily Reporter.
And what is your role in the election?
I cover the race between Harper Dory and Taylor Alexander.
And how long have you been covering the race between Harper Dory and Taylor Alexander?
I've been covering the race for several months now, and I have been present to all major campaign events and debates for both sides.
And as a journalist, what is your goal?
My goal is to be unbiased. I also plan to be as fair as possible when covering things such as the city council race.
And what do you do as a journalist?
I try to be a source of unbiased news. I have interviewed people and also spoken to the council.
And who have you interviewed?
I have interviewed both candidates as well as their team members.
And have you done any other things besides reporting for the debate?
Yes, other than reporting the debate, I have done an investigation.
And what did you learn about your investigation?
From my investigation, I have learned that Logan Gold's family business has been increasingly struggling financially due to the increase of vacation rentals.
Okay, thank you. And what were you doing on the day of November 11, 2023?
On the on that day, hold on. On that day, I arrived at a little after 11 a.m. and I was starting to get ready to cover the debate between the two candidates.
And did you speak to anyone during the debate?
Yes, I spoke to several members from Alexander's campaign team, but they seemed nervous.
And why were they nervous?
They were nervous because Taylor Alexander hadn't arrived yet. He was supposed to arrive at 11 a.m., but he still hadn't shown up.
And did the campaign members do anything about it?
Yes, I witnessed several members try to call Alexander, but none got a response back.
And, sorry. And did other than Alexander, was there anyone else absent?
Yes, I noticed that Logan Gold was not there as well.
And how did they react to Gold being absent?
They all seemed pretty nervous.
And why were they nervous?
They were nervous because Logan Gold hadn't showed up yet. He is their campaign manager as well as Harper Dory's spouse. So I myself was shocked that he was not there yet.
And on that day of the debate, did either Gold or Alexander show up?
Gold arrived at the debate at around 12:30 p.m., but Alexander didn't.
And what was the race reaction to him arriving late?
They were within a few feet of me when they reunited, but I only remember Gold saying something to Dory.
And what did he say to Dory?
He said it's all been taken care of.
And during your interviews, what have you witnessed between Alexander and Logan Gold?
I have witnessed some animosity between Logan Gold and Taylor Alexander. They would usually have fights, which I have witnessed.
Okay. And who would be the one to start these fights?
Logan Gold would typically be the one to start.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
Thank you. Well, please stay. There might be some cross-examination.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes.
Definitely. Is it important for you to be unbiased as a reporter?
Yeah.
How about as a witness? Is it unbiased for you? Is it important for you to be unbiased testifying under the oath?
Yes. do not know them personally.
They dated your sister, correct? And that relationship ended badly. This was, I'm saying your sister, correct?
You could say.
You're saying that she left town and hasn't come back, correct?
Yeah.
This was upsetting to you, correct?
Can you repeat that question?
This was upsetting to you, correct?
No.
I would like to talk about what you said you heard on the day of the debate. Dory and Gold were having a conversation, correct?
Yes.
And you were part of this conversation, correct?
Yes. I was not.
And you said you heard Gold state, I don't quote, but something about everything has been taken care of.
Yes.
Is that all you heard?
That's all I remember.
You did not know any other context, correct?
Correct.
This was because, again, you were not part of it, correct? No further questioning, Your Honor.
Is there any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. May this witness be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. Are there any other witnesses for the prosecution?
Yes, Your Honor. We would like to call Dr. Ray Forrest.
Mhm.
Your Honor, may I proceed?
Yes.
Good afternoon, Dr. Ray Forrest.
Good afternoon.
What is your name and occupation?
My name is Dr. A. Forrest. I'm the Chief Forensic Investigator for Rowan County.
What are your credentials?
I earned my undergrad at University of New Haven and got my medical degree and master's in forensic science at UC Davis. Soon after, I got my 6-year residency at Rowan County Hospital and got my pathology license.
Have you taken a course for TeleTrack analysis?
Yes, I have. I've taken a 40-hour seminar on tire track analysis.
And for this case, what was it used for?
It was used to check the tires of Logan Gold's personal vehicle and tire tracks at 1330 Mountain Side.
Who contacted you about this case?
Deputy Ryan Kennedy.
Why did they contact you?
He told me that there was kidnapping and suspected use of drugs to incapacitate the victim.
And then what did he specifically ask for your expertise on?
He asked for a toxicology report.
How is a toxicology report done?
I drew Taylor Alexander's blood. And I drew Taylor Alexander's blood and checked his DNA to check for any drugs inside the toxicology report.
At what time did you draw Taylor Alexander's blood?
Approximately 4:45 p.m.
What was found from the toxicology report?
A drug called doxylamine, which is a sleep aid usually put inside of cough syrups, medicine, cough medicine.
According to Alexander's witness statement, could you tell us more about your findings?
So doxylamine is, there was about 160 nanograms per milliliter inside of Taylor Alexander's bloodstream, and since it was in such a high concentration and the half-life of doxylamine is 10 hours, it's unlikely that it was given in one dose.
Did you do any testing outside, or did you do anything else outside of a toxicology report?
Yes, I did.
And what was that?
It was a tire track analysis on the tire tracks at 1335 and Site 5.
Your Honor, I have marked for identification purposes People's Exhibit B. I am not showing defense counsel what I have marked now as People's Exhibit B.
examination? Do I go back?
You do great.
How do you recognize it?
These are my pictures are taken at the time for my tire track analysis.
And what do these pictures represent?
These show the tire tracks at 1335 Lakeside Drive compared to Logan Gold's personal vehicle's tire.
How were these pictures given? Or, sorry,
Who took the pictures?
who took these pictures?
I,
And when did you take these pictures?
on November 11th,
Do these fairly and accurately represent the day of November 11, 2023?
yes they do.
Your Honor, may I admit what has been identified as People's Exhibit B into evidence?
Is there any objection? It'll be received.
How are the tire tracks left at 1335 Lakeside Drive distinct enough for you to conduct an investigation?
This was because of the regular use of the tires with cuts and accumulated debris. Those cause tires to leave like distinct impressions. On 1335 Lakeside Drive, the tire tracks on the driveway were fresh, so that gave me the chance to analyze the track on a high degree of certainty. For this reason, I was able to discern that they were total tire 350 tires.
And how does your findings compare to Logan Gould's vehicle?
When comparing the tire tracks at
Time.
When comparing the tire tracks at 1335 Lakeside Drive to Gold's car, I found significant similarities from the total tire 350 tire tracks and Logan Gold's personal tires.
Can I keep going?
So in this case, you wouldn't, because it's time.
Thank you. Any cross-examination?
Your Honor, may I proceed?
Yes.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Would you say that the total tire, 350 tires are rather common?
Yes, they are.
So common that anyone could go and purchase said tires?
Yes.
So in your professional opinion, do you think anyone in Emerald Bend could have total tire 350 tires?
These are possible.
Couldn't anyone bind their own wrist with a slip knot?
Yes, they could, but getting out of it would take a lot of effort and a lot of skill.
Is it true that Alexander stated that they had marks on both their wrists and ankles, but during your examination, you were only to find marks on their wrists?
Yes.
Isn't it true that the amount of drugs in Alexander's system could have tampered with Alexander's sense of recollection?
It's a possibility.
Did you find any other drugs in Alexander's system?
I did. I found dextromethorphan, which is a drug known to cause hallucinations. But given his height and size, it's highly unlikely that it would have affected him because of the small dosage in his bloodstream.
Thank you. No further questions.
Okay. Any redirect?
Yes, Your Honor. May I proceed?
Yes.
With your knowledge, you determined, what did you determine about Logan Gould's vehicle?
That it matched the tires at 1335 Lakeside Drive.
What were the tires of 1335 Lakeside?
Pause real quick. So it's 14 minutes total, which includes redirect.
Oh, no.
So you're out of time, prosecution.
Oh, okay, so wait, redirect and rebuttal, isn't that like you have to take out something?
No, it's all 14 minutes.
No, like, yeah, I'm saying like redirect and rebuttals are gonna be included into our time.
Yeah.
So does that mean, we won't have time to do rebuttals for closing statement?
The rebuttals for closing statement is 1 minute, and that's totally separate out of your total 9 minutes that goes with opening and closing.
Yeah. Redirect is different from rebuttal. Yeah. Okay, may this witness be excused?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Roger. Are there any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor, prosecution rests.
Yeah, you'd want to stand up to say that, yes. All right, thank you very much. Is the defense ready to present a case?
Yes.
Okay, let's go.
As a witness, we call Logan Gold to the stand.
Thank you.
Taylor Alexander?
No, I would never.
Did you speak to Taylor Alexander the day of the kidnapping?
No, I did not.
Did you see Taylor Alexander the day of the kidnapping?
No.
So your paths did not cross the day of the kidnapping?
I did not know.
Can you walk me through your morning of November 11th? What was supposed to happen the morning of November 11th?
That morning, I recall Harper telling me that there was a scheduled final debate between the candidates Harper Gray and Taylor Alexander at 12 p.m. in Town Hall.
Can you walk me through your morning of November 11th?
Yes, so that morning, I recall feeling very nervous. I had been very supportive of Harper throughout the whole campaign. I did not want my motions to impact Harper's performance that day, so instead I decided to go put flyers up around the lake to hopefully persuade any last minute voters vote. On the way out, I remember checking the time, which was 8:30 a.m., and I quickly wrote a letter of my whereabouts that day, putting it on Harper's bedside, and as I was in a rush to leave, I forgot my phone at home.
Is it normal for you to leave your phone at home?
No, it's not typical of me at all. I'm very good at keeping communication, and Harper knows that.
When you arrived at the lake, what did you do?
As I arrived to the lake, I immediately started putting flyers up around residents' porches. I put up about 10 to 12 flyers before I had a quick conversation with my friend CJ Costley about his podcast.
After speaking to CJ Costley, what did you do?
After speaking to CJ Costley, I continued to drive around the residential area. I put up a couple more flyers, but shortly realized it'd be more efficient to put flyers up in the town square because there'd be more frequent passerbyers, but also that the debate was being held there.
What route did you take going to the town hall?
I took the unpaved road.
For identification purposes, I have previously marked for identification as shown as Exhibit A. I'm now showing the prosecution.
It's not,
What is previously marked as Exhibit A. Your Honor, may I approach?
yes?
I'm now showing you what has been previously marked as Exhibit A. Does this look familiar to you?
Yes, it does.
What is it?
This is a map of Emerald Bend's roads.
Is this a clear depiction of the roads of Emerald Bend?
Yes.
Your Honor, may this be offered into evidence?
You're offering this to evidence?
Yes.
Any objections?
No, you're not.
It'll be received.
How do we put it like, so is it?
Yeah, so we have a blow up here, let's put this up to show to the jury.
Just pretend.
Yeah,
We're timing you guys, come on.
Your Honor, may the witness testify?
sure.
Can you point out the fire road?
Yes, the fire road is this thin line right there.
And can you point out the main road?
The main road is this thicker line right here.
Can you point out CJ Costley's house?
CJ Costley's house is in the western part of Emerald Bend.
And can you point out 1335 Lakeside Drive?
That address is in the eastern part of Emerald Bend.
And if someone were by 1335 Lakeside Drive, what would be the fastest route to the town hall?
If someone were at that address, the closest route would be the main road.
And if someone were by CJ Costley's house, what would be the fastest route to the town hall?
The fastest route to town hall from that area would be the MPFI road.
And why did you not take the main road?
I was in the area closest to the fire road, but personally, I prefer not to take the longer and windy route.
On the way to the
So
town.
now you'd have her go take her seat, go
Oh.
back to her seat. If you're done with that, she can go back to her seat.
On the way to the town hall, what happened?
As I was driving on the MPFI road, I had the flyer sitting in my passenger seat with the window down. I saw the flyers fly out, and I hate littering, so I pulled over to put the flyers back in my car. But as I got back to my driver's seat, the engine would not start.
Do you have any idea why your car broke down?
Yes, so my car's from 1992. It's a little old, so the maintenance has been hard to keep up with. experience working with cars, I figured out I had to replace a part in my engine, which I later did. But in the moment, I found a temporary fix.
And did you end up having a permanent fix?
Yes, I did.
For identification purposes, I previously marked what is shown as Exhibit F. I'm now showing the prosecution counsel what has been previously marked as Exhibit F. May I approach? Does this look familiar?
Yes, it does.
What is it?
This is a receipt of the part I needed to replace in my engine.
What do I do about the receipt on,
Don't worry about it, it'll be a separate, all separate.
okay,
Yeah, just do it again.
for identification purposes, I previously marked what is shown as Exhibit F. Oh,
Jayla, just go with it.
Okay.
Do it
Just
again.
go, Joe.
does this look familiar?
Yes, it does.
What is it?
This is a receipt of the boarding supplies that I purchased days prior.
What did you purchase?
I bought marine oil, grip tape, blue rope, and marine wax.
And those items were used for what?
Like any resident here in Emerald Bend, I wanted to go out on the lake, so I bought supplies to repair my boat.
And you have previously stated that oxalic acid was spilled in the trunk of your car. Why did you have it?
Similar to these supplies, I also needed to repair my boat. I needed to get rid of the rust stains, and I must have left it in my trunk, and with Emerald Bend's uneven roads, it must have spilled.
When you arrived at the debate, did you notice anything unusual?
Yes, I did. When I first walked in, I noticed that the opposing candidate was not there, Taylor Alexander, and I thought that was very unusual because they tend to be punctual to these type of events.
Did Taylor Alexander ever show up to the debate?
No, they did not.
And was the debate called off?
Yes, it was. We waited until 1 p.m. before it was called.
When the debate was called off, where did you go?
After the debate, Harper and I, as well as our campaign managers or staff, went back to our campaigning office to discuss what could have happened to Taylor Alexander.
The prosecution counsel has stated that your views on vacation rentals are not in alignment to Taylor Alexander's. So what are they?
My views on vacation rentals is I disagree with them. I own one of the only hotel here in Emerald Bend, the Coast Standard Inn, which if vacation rentals are brought into Emerald Bend, I will lose customers and it will hurt my business. However, I think it's great that business is being brought to Emerald Bend.
So is that a reason for you to kidnap Taylor Alexander?
No, it is not, nor would I ever.
Thank you, no further questions.
Thank you. Any cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you.
Your Honor, may I proceed?
Yes.
So on the day of November 11th, no one saw you leave the house, correct?
Correct.
And you said that you left the house at around 8:30, right?
Yes.
But you have no one to testify that you actually left the house at 8:30, correct?
Yes.
But you did see someone later that morning, right?
I did, yes.
And that person was CJ Cossey, correct?
Correct.
But do you have any other witness that you can bring forward that can testify for your presence?
Not necessarily, no.
And so the only person that can testify for your location is CJ Cossey, who says that they saw you at 9:30, correct?
Yes.
And you and CJ Cossey are friends, right?
Correct.
But is there any witness that can testify for your presence at 8:30 a.m.?
No, there's not.
What about at 7:30 a.m.? Question.
No.
What about at 6:30 a.m.?
No.
What about 5:30 a.m.?
No.
What about at 10:30 a.m.?
I was out putting flyers up, so anyone could have seen me.
But do you have someone that you can bring forward that can testify that they saw you at 10:30?
No, not necessarily.
What about at 11:30 a.m.?
Same thing, someone could have seen me,
But do you have a witness that you can bring forward that can testify for your location at that time?
I don't know.
So the only witness that you can testify for your location is your friend CJ Cossey, correct? Who said that they saw you at 9:30, correct?
Call your next witness.
For our next witness, we would like to call CJ Crossley to the stand.
All right.
I do.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes.
Good afternoon. What is your name and occupation? My name is CJ Costley and I am a podcaster.
What is the name of your podcast?
The name of the podcast is Small Town in Truth.
What do you cover on?
On my podcast, I cover true crime and drama, but right now I'm covering the campaign.
Is there anything else you cover on that podcast?
Well, recently, I've covered this case, called the West Becca case, where, West Becca faked their own case.
You mentioned before that you've been covering the election. How long has this been going on? How long have you been covering it?
I've been covering the election since it started.
Did you have a chance to interview either of the candidates?
Yes, I interviewed both Harper DeRay and Taylor Alexander.
Could you speak more on how your experience was interviewing Drake?
When interviewing Doré, she appeared very polite and respectful.
How about with Alexander? How was that experience?
The experience with Taylor Alexander during the interview was completely different. Taylor said some rude comments towards both Harper DeRay and Logan Mold.
Could you elaborate on these rude comments that Taylor said?
Taylor Alexander said things like Harper DeRay is horrible for everyone as well as their spouse, and that they're abusive to their overworked, underpaid employees at their overpriced hotel.
Was there any reasoning behind these negative comments?
No, there was not.
Was that all they said?
No, he said, another thing I can recall, Taylor Alexander saying that those two need to be stopped before they can do any
Objection, hearsay?
damage.
Well, the witness is already answering the question, so it's a little bit late. I'm gonna overrule.
So to recall your memory, what happened on November 11th, 2023?
On November 11th, 2023, there was supposed to be a debate between Taylor Alexander and Harper DeRay, but it was canceled.
So Gold is the assistant campaign manager for DeRay. Did you see Gold at any time during that day?
Yes, I saw him at 9:30 a.m.
Where was this? Where did you see him?
I saw him at my own residence, passing out flyers.
Around what time was it at?
9:30 a.m.
So you say you saw that, was that the end of it, or was there any conversation?
Yes, me and Gold chatted for about 5 to 10 minutes.
Your Honor, I have marked for identification, map of Emerald Bennett group. What would I say? I would like to.
So we're,
It's already been in.
notice
isn't
that
it?
exhibit
Yeah.
A is already in evidence.
It's already in.
I wanna direct your attention to exhibit A.
Your Honor, I would like to direct your attention to Exhibit A.
I'm sure.
Ms. Costley, do you recognize this?
Yes.
Could you tell me what it is?
No, it's already in evidence. You don't have to do it.
So, how long have you been living in Emerald Bend?
My entire life.
Could you please point out where your house is on the map?
Yeah, it is over here on the west side.
How about 1335 Dixon Drive?
It is located on the east side, as it says on the map.
Could you point out the fire road
The fire road goes,
and the main road?
and the main road is the big road.
be the quickest route to take to town hall?
I would say the quickest route is the Fire Road because it's closer to the west.
And in regards to 1335 Lakeside Drive, what would be the quickest route?
It is very far away, but the closest route would be Reagan Road.
No further questions.
Thank you. Any cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor. May I proceed?
Yes.
So you said you saw a gold necklace, correct?
Correct.
On the day of November 11th, correct?
Correct.
And you said you saw him in the morning, right?
Correct.
At around 9:30 a.m., correct? Correct. And you guys did chat for around 10 minutes, or 5 to 10 minutes, correct?
Correct.
And you guys chatted about how great it would be if Harvard or Reed had won.
Correct.
So would you say you're in favor of Harvard or Reed winning?
After interviewing Taylor Alexander, correct.
But did you see Logan Gold at all that day after your encounter with him that morning?
No.
So you can't testify seeing him at 7:30?
No.
What about at 8:30 a.m.?
No.
What about 10:30 a.m.?
No.
11:30?
No.
So you only saw him when he arrived late to the debate at 12:30 p.m.
Correct.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
Thank you. Any redirect? All right, may this witness be excused?
Yes.
All right. Do you have another witness?
Can we skip to the next one?
Yeah.
As our next witness, we call Dr. Cody Palmer to the stand.
All right.
Do you?
I do.
All right.
Good afternoon.
Good
Oh,
afternoon.
may I proceed?
Yes.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
What is your name and occupation?
My name is Dr. Cody Palmer, and I am a private forensic consulting investigator.
What credentials did you receive before becoming a private investigator?
I have received my undergraduate degree in forensic science from the Texas A&M University, and I have also received a medical degree from the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. I've also completed a 6-year residency at the Las Vegas General Hospital and have completed all the necessary examinations required to become a licensed pathologist.
In addition to your forensic training, do you have any educational training for tire track analysis?
I have done many courses on a variety of different disciplines, including tire tracks.
What test have you
Objection, unfair extrapolation.
How do you respond to that? Is this in the witness's statement?
It is in the witness's statement that they have done supplementary training in other fields.
So I think you want to point page and line, right here, page 49.
Page
line.
49, line 19.
All right. I've stayed up to date as possible with all relevant forensic techniques, taking supplementary training courses in a variety of relevant disciplines. And so I guess the witness is testifying that one of those relevant disciplines is tire tracks.
Is that enough reasoning? Is that enough reasoning if it's just a variety of supplements? Because we do not know if tire track analysis is a requirement in those supplementary courses.
So I think we'll allow it for now. Appreciate your objection. You may proceed.
What tests have you conducted regarding the kidnapping?
I have not personally conducted any tests. However, I have reviewed Dr. Ray Forrest's reports on Alexander's bloodstream, the glue line docking rope, and the tire tracks found on 1335 Lakeside Drive.
What did you find from the toxicology report that was conducted by Dr. Forrest?
Although I do not dispute that Dr. Ray Forrest reports that there is a
approximately 160 nanograms
Time.
per milliliter of doxylamine found in his bloodstream. I do disagree with the timeline of events found.
I guess your time is up. Any cross-examination?
No, Your Honor. All my cross-examination kind of revolve on after the facts, after the questions that were supposed to be stated.
Well, go ahead and do it. I get that. I think that's, you're making the right judgment in this context, but let's practice it anyway.
So should I not do Your Honor, can we strike this witness and just keep continuing with my cross?
Just do what you have. Do everything that you would want to do. Assuming she testified to everything, go for it.
Okay, may I proceed?
Yes.
Dr. Cody Palmer, have you taken any Cody Palmer, do you agree with Dr. Ray Forrest that there are distinct pebble marks on the 1335 Lakeside Drive tire tracks and the tires on Logan Gold's vehicle?
Yes.
You also agree that, you discussed the tread depth, correct?
Yes.
And you said that you came to an approximate conclusion?
Yes.
You yourself did not have the exact tread depth, is that correct?
I do not.
That is all, Your Honor.
Okay.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
Cause I really was closing it out.
I guess there's no time for redirect, so may this witness be excused? Yes. Thank you. Do you have your other witness?
They're out of time.
They're out of time.
Mhm.
Wow. How'd that happen? Wow.
We're gonna fix that on both sides.
Mhm.
Gotta fix that for sure. Lost a whole witness.
Mhm.
Wow. That went fast.
Yeah, that's why, like, I don't want you to stop. Just go, all right?
That went
Okay.
really fast.
We're at
Wow.
closing, all right?
Wow. Does the defense rest?
Yes.
Do you need to say that? The defense rests.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah.
The defense
The
rests.
defense rests.
The defense rests.
Yeah. All right, are we ready to go forward with closing arguments?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, who's gonna do that? Okay.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. My name is Helena Lovato and I represent the state. May it please the court?
Yes.
Gold is guilty of kidnapping and drugging Taylor Alexander. That is plain and simple, yet there is no simplicity in this case. Gold committed a premeditated murder along the abuse of common found drugs against Taylor Alexander. Given the pieces of evidence, along with the tire track analysis and the timeline that is not clear from Logan Gold, we have established that Gold is guilty. Gold's spouse Harper DeRay has stated that they have not seen Logan Gold until 12:30 p.m. on November 11, 2023, the day of the final debate. It will also show that Deputy Riley Kim had announced that at 2:30 p.m. they received a call from Taylor Alexander saying that they were kidnapped. And it will show that CJ Costley can only account for a minimum of few minutes for Gold's whereabouts. This will tell us that Gold and Taylor Alexander did not appear on the day of November 11, 2023 until after the matter, meaning the timelines have aligned and Gold's absence leads suspicion into Taylor Alexander's kidnapping. The items found by Deputy Riley Kim were blue line docking rope and a pillowcase that said DeRay for Emerald Ben. DeRay for Emerald Ben stands for DeRay but is against Taylor Alexander. Left at the scene of the crime were blue line docking ropes used to bind Taylor Alexander's wrist. What was found later by Deputy Kim was a receipt that has evidence proving that there were blue line docking ropes
in his possession. Along with the pieces of evidence that Dr. Ray Forrest had conducted, it was enough to convict Logan Gold. As Alexander was tied up at 1335 Lakeside Drive, Gold had said, "You have brought this upon yourself," followed by the phrase, "everything comes around," a phrase said so often by Logan Gold that everyone has witnessed that quote. These phrases gave Alexander a sense of danger, to instill fear that if they were to continue further with their political views, they would end up with consequences. Alexander Gold had even said that there was an instance where Taylor Alexander admits that they go on runs every morning at 5:30 a.m. to Logan Gold. This means that Logan Gold was given the resources and the time for when they could kidnap Taylor Alexander. Dr. Ray Forrest, an expert, has shown that they determined the Gold's vehicle was at 1335 Lakeside Drive. Given the fact that the total tire 350s were found at 1335 Lakeside Drive, along with the tread depth both being 532 inches. Given that evidence, along with the distinct pebble mark that was found on the tire tracks and on the tires, it was enough reasoning to put Logan Gold behind bars. Physical evidence that all parts heard Logan, the pillowcase, blue line docking rope, and the receipt, all in Gold's possession, all factor into Taylor Alexander's kidnapping. The timeline between 5:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. were not clear enough for Gold to determine their whereabouts each hour and each minute. Besides for the fact of CJ Costley, which only determined a few minutes within that timeline. The tire track analysis that determines that the tire track analysis that determines the tires found at 1335 Lakeside Drive and Logan Gold's personal vehicle are the same. There is beyond reasonable doubt that Logan Gold is guilty of kidnapping Taylor Alexander and drugging Alexander. The state is asking for Logan Gold to be held accountable for their actions and charged appropriately for what they have done to Taylor Alexander. That is all I have.
Thank you. The defense?
May it please the court.
Yes.
Your Honors, ladies and gentlemen, members of the jury, prosecution has taken a person, an innocent person who has shown time after time the concern for the well-being of not just Earl Ben, but for its citizens as well. The accusation thrown at Gold of being the kidnapper of Taylor Alexander, the campaign's opponent, is absurd and based on pure convenience and concerningly doubtful evidence. Prosecution wants you to believe that Gold being linked to the debate is sufficient enough to make them a primary suspect in this criminal case. However, with the accounts given by the witnesses, these allegations do not add up. Your Honor, let me ask you this. Did anyone see Logan Gold kidnapping Taylor Alexander? Can Taylor Alexander testify to seeing Logan Gold abducting them? Did they ever see their face? Were they ever 100% sure that it was Gold imposing these actions, these behaviors? For all we know, it could have been anybody. A follower of the campaign, a citizen, perhaps even the mailman. With the burden of proof on prosecution, they have yet to prove each and every point beyond a reasonable doubt that the only conclusion to this case is that Gold is the kidnapper. As we can see in CalCrim number 1215.1, prosecution has yet to substantiate that Logan Gold took, helped, or detained Taylor Alexander by using force or by installing reasonable fear. As a defender of justice, it is in your power to make the right decision. We know that around at 8 a.m., Gold had left home to pass out flyers to residents in town, leaving their phone behind due to stress clouding their mind. With their car radio broken as well, telling time was not an option. They had estimated to have reached Ambrosia Lake at around 9 a.m., where they spent some time putting the informational papers on people's porches. 30 minutes later, they had reached the residency of CJ Costley, where they initiated a conversation with them as they had come out of their house. It was no more than 10 and no less than 5. We know that they had later driven through the surrounding area, putting flyers in another dozen houses before deciding to head back home.
Nevertheless, they chose to take the by road, a much quicker route that led to Town Hall. As we can see in the map provided, this unpaved road is towards the west, closer to the houses in Coffey's area. Alexander's rental, however, 1335 Lakeside Drive, is located to the east. Now, if we were to indeed have been the kidnapper, if they were to indeed have been at the residency, wouldn't they have taken the long road instead? This would not only allow them to arrive to the debate early, but it would eliminate any suspicion of Gold being the suspect. Yet this decision did not occur. As a matter of fact, they had taken the fire road, where the car had broken down. An old, worn-out car that couldn't even tell time. Gold had owned this car since 1992, meaning that it was already 31 years old on the day of November 11, 2023. It was not in Gold's control to know that her car would break down. Yes, they were well aware of how old that car was, but had been working well enough for 3 decades, not showing any major signs of being straight up useless or garbage. As prosecution has pointed out, Logan Gold has been having financial problems. This only proves that by keeping this car, they indeed have been finding ways to solve these, not just by using the Gold Standard Inn. This event caused an hour of Gold's precious time, which consequently made them arrive late. Gold had been known to be a punctual person, with this train of unfortunate events becoming a stain in the pristine white button-up. As the race campaign manager and assistant, their absence for the first 30 minutes of the debate had been detrimental to themselves and their spouse. In order to not cause them more anxiety, Gold simply told the Ray that everything had been taken care of, obviously referring to the flyers they were passing around. However, this isn't the story Alex Sandoval testified to. They had stated they had overheard that Gold had taken care of something. What was that something? It is quite annoying when someone zooms into others' conversations only to hear all wrong. A private conversation on top of that. Isn't it a reporter's job to report only the truth? When people only hear something that is a slice of the bigger cake, it is not news being reported for rumors and assumptions. Prosecution is based on pure innuendo, suspicion, and motives, but never on facts and proof that show Logan Gold was the perpetrator in this case. Your Honor, how do you expect us to trust them? How do you expect us to trust the justice system if they're the ones prosecuting an innocent person of society? A person that not only has a spouse waiting at home, children waiting at home.
Time.
Finish your thought.
Children waiting at home, but also helpless citizens waiting for their return, all of whom are depending on Gold, relying on Gold. The evidence throughout this trial shows that not only is Gold not guilty, but that they are also a victim of injustice. The injustice that has framed them by using animosity and rivalry that has nothing to do with this case. Motive does not add up to crime. For these reasons, at the end of this trial, we would respectfully ask to return the verdict of not guilty.
Thank you. Any rebuttal? No? All right, well done.
All right, big round of applause, everyone.